Hello, and welcome to HangarReady, episode 21. It's been a long summer, and we're finally back from hiatus after a couple of months of downtime there, one due to intentional and one due to everybody having real life. So I'd like to introduce everybody this evening. With me are my partners in crime. Jolly, how are you doing this evening?
Magnificent.
Great. And Turing, how about yourself?
Fantastic.
And Nam?
This beautiful day. Went out for a drive today, and just glad to be here.
And you got something coming up soon with Dragon.
Oh yeah. We got Dragon Con coming up in Atlanta in a couple weeks, Labor Day weekend, and it's going to be some of us there. Granted, they're following a lot of restrictions there with masks, and they just recently announced the other day they're going to be asking for proof of vaccination or testing. So they're definitely taking a lot of precautions. I'm surprised they waited that long to announce that.
Yep, kind of late since it's less than 30 days. Josh, how are you out on the left coast?
Oh, I'm fantastic. It's going to be good to have a chance to hang out with you guys since I don't think we've been together all since the last show.
No, we haven't. And last, but obviously not least, Shapcap is here, and he's graced us with his presence instead of miking up and helping stream William Shatner live in Vegas. He's joining us this week. How are you doing, Shap?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here. It's good to be back on the show.
Good. And we're going to be trying some new tech tonight, guys. We're getting ready. We're going to do a big blowout stream, pre-game show stream for CitizenCon. I believe that's October 9th. Somebody correct me if I've got that date wrong.
You are correct.
And so tonight we're going to be testing some new technology. We're going to be doing some commercial breaks now, and that's really for us to be able to do some stuff on the back end, like swap out who's bringing guest hosts and things like that. So Hawk will be joining us here at when we start segment 2. So it's going to be an interesting evening. Hopefully we don't break stuff, and hopefully all the audio and everything is working great. Hendrosa, how are you doing? So without further ado, I think Nam has got something he wants to rant about this little bit, and I love it when Nam rants instead of I have to rant. So because God only knows I take up more than my portion of ranting on this show. So Nam, why don't you take it away and tell us about your issue council issues?
Well, I have issues. My main issues.
All know that.
Yeah, thanks. This is pretty much it's the way people report bugs and help contribute back to the game. The whole point of this phase we're in right now is trying to make it better. I just want to go over the issue council feedback and how you use those to actually contribute, as opposed to just ranting on Reddit. So first off, the first thing you got to ask yourself if you're going to report it: is it a bug, or is it a feedback on something you just don't like? You can ask your friends in your usual channels, be it your Discord or on Spectrum chat and on RSI. If they're experiencing the same problem, you can sometimes get told, "Oh yeah, that's well known. It was mentioned in patch notes on back." That's good to know before you create yet another duplicate report. And of course, read the patch notes, because that's where you find out about a lot of these things you may not be aware of that everybody else has already reported on. If we can, Jacqueline, if you can cue up the video, kind of walks you through how it is when you're on the RSI's website and you go to submit a bug report. So obviously you go down in the menu there on the screen, and you're going to find the issue council. There's one to report bugs in the issue council itself, and one to report bugs with the game. When you create a ticket, the most important thing is the title. You only have 150 characters. You want to use words that are, because the search system they have is kind of simple in a lot of ways. You want to make sure you use words that are commonly used, that think through what somebody else looking on the problem is likely to type into a search to find it. so that they have a better chance of finding yours rather than creating a duplicate. Of course, and you make your observation. The details, just saying it's broke or the game is slow is not enough. You need to spell out the steps. And excuse me, I got a little bit ahead of where the video was there. But we do have in there, you do have, you select out your system specs, because that helps them identify problems with drivers. And you have your different you have all your various settings. I'm not going to go too deep into those. We could spend forever going into all the nuance of that. And here you're going to you create as many steps as you need to explain exactly what happened. More details the better, really, because some people just they're too vague. And then of course here you can only select one of these. Let's just make a best guess on these. I honestly don't know how important it is at this point, because sometimes some things don't really apply well in one category or the other that they have here. And then you're also okay. Then you're going to be. Can you pause here for a second, Joni? Sure. Okay. You got. This is also important here. This is where you're going to say the severity of it. If it's just cosmetic, it's just a armor doesn't look right. There's some graphical issue. It's just cosmetic. And just read the detail under there and just make a best guess on how severe it impacts the game. Other people are going to say the same, going to make their own judgment on that, and that kind of aggregates together everybody else voting in on this ticket. Please continue. And let's see here. And this is where you're spelling out the steps. Now, before you submit the ticket, you need to ask yourself these things. Let's see. You cannot edit anything in here afterward. Once you hit submit, you cannot edit a word. You got a misspelling or you got it wrong. You wanted to submit a video to attach to it. You can't go back. Somebody else would have to do that, or because you can't contribute on your own IC either. Let's see. And once again, just making sure that you are actually reporting something new, because if there's somebody else already reported on it, it's going to be more beneficial if you add what you've learned to that same ticket so that it reaches that threshold of 10 votes, so that you can so that it can rise in the get the devs' attention on this. And we can probably let's see here. Oh yeah, so if we can skip ahead to there's going to come a point at the end where you're going to submit images or video. You can submit, typically it's going to be a YouTube link, or it's going to have pictures you can attach. In these pictures, there's a QR code you can have in game, and that helps them to identify certain things about the session you were on, what was going on at the time. Because then if they can identify when exactly you had that problem on what server, they can then look at their logs. Okay. They can then look at their logs to compare, and see there's QR code up the corner there. And in any of the patch notes, there's directions on how to paste that in there. I believe. Can someone paste? There's okay. Well, basically, in any patch notes for the game, they put at the top to say how to make that QR code appear. So when you do your screen captures, do your video capture, it'll be there for their use. Let's see. And after you're done, you've posted it. Shill your post. Get it out there. Post once again, just like when you asked before in your own Discords on Spectrum. Post the link to it. Say, hey, this is something I found. Just sometimes, because people will complain 100 times, and then only a few will actually bother to repost on whatever you've posted. So you got to point it out to people. And
one of the things to keep in mind right now is that being in a big org helps because you can get your 10 confirmations with your eyes closed.
Yep. Yeah.
Right?
True enough.
Yes.
True
In
enough.
fact, good point, Jay. In fact, one of our members posted a problem with the Eclipse, something being blocked out on the HUD, and posted it for us, rest of us do. I have an Eclipse, so I went there, put it up there, and say, "Son of a bitch, you're right." So I was able to confirm it real easily.
I don't have an Eclipse, but I somehow confirmed that it was right as well.
Supporting your teammates.
You were probably
Oh,
watching
my.
one of us at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably, somebody showed me
Yeah.
a screenshot or something. It's like, yep, that's broken.
Yeah, the better you can shill it. I mean, the more you can shill it, the better. I've had one that was a money breaking bug. And I put it in the org. I hit it again 12 hours later. I put it on Reddit. I put it on the main Star Citizen Discord. And it got a dev response within 18 hours of like, hey, we're looking into this. Thanks for letting us know. So,
Well, not only that, but sometimes when you're having that discussion in Star Citizen with your org mates, you might find a workaround for the problem. And God knows I've found them for all the different quantum bugs that are out there.
that's very true also. Yeah, somebody has probably come across it and banged their head against the wall for hours until they found the workaround. So
Yeah.
large org plus one.
Nam, I have a quick question. Going back to the QR code, how important is that we include that on our IC submissions?
They seem pretty insistent that it's helpful. It does help them to better and better narrow down the circumstances around when a crash happened, or not when a crash happened, when a well, probably that too, because when you have a crash to desktop, it'll do a final screen capture, and if your QR code in there, that does help them to a certain degree in identifying things.
As I play and I have that set, just in case I need to do something, you can see the QR code changing.
It's
And
data. It's data.
So I think it's a way for them to identify that segment that you're on at the moment that something is happening. So I think it's real important. I mean, I know the two things that I've heard that they want more than anything else is the QR code, and they would like video if you have it. Screenshots work, but they like the video piece because it shows exactly what's kind of happening around and everything. Is that kind of your feedback on it as well?
Yeah, definitely. It's like, once again, it's like we're giving them our side of it, but they don't, what they're looking at, they don't always know at what day, which server that was, and then they can go into logs and say, oh yeah, here's on this server we were having this problem, or this process died on the back end, and that'll kind of help them either confirm an issue or dismiss it as, oh, it was part of a larger problem.
Yeah.
I wonder.
The other thing I think is important is when you go into your issue council, make sure you check what your computer specs are. There's a way for you to load your computer specs into the issue council so that they know your graphics card, your CPU, your amount of memory, and things like that. Because if you put something in, even if you contribute, it sends that data to them as well, so that they can see, is it happening across different platforms? Is it happening across different GPUs? It's very important that you check that. And if you change out your components or do something of that nature, because I'm not sure that the old pull in from your computer is still working like it used to. It
gets some of it, but not all of it. It'll it'll know if you look at the game log file that's created in the Star Citizen folder anytime you run the game. It'll you'll see where it gets some basic information on the CPU, GPU, but there's other information they don't have. It's like the exact. Cool. You can even provide stuff like what's your bandwidth, what kind of ISP you have, and that's helpful. Like you said, there's a file. They give details in there on where to go for it when you go to create the specs, where you can go to DX diag, and you can save a text file that has all that data for you, and you just upload that, and it gives them all that they need.
Cool.
I wonder what they get when we do the crash handler. When it's crashed and the little thing pops up on your desk and you can submit. I'm wondering if they get some of this information from that as well.
They get they get a copy of the game.log, and from my understanding, they get a copy of the game.log, and they get a screenshot the very last second before the game crashed.
Okay.
So, one other thing I wanted to. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say I'd be curious if anybody's tried to decode that QR code. Scan it and see what pops up. If it's just a jumble of data, or if it's even recognizable.
I've been meaning to do that.
QR reader. I've never thought of doing it. I'm sure perhaps maybe somebody in the chat has. But yeah, just curious to see what it said. It's just a bunch of gibberish that you need a decryption key to read, or is it?
I imagine there's some other things in there, like your coordinate in the game and stuff like that.
Right.
No, they don't have those. We don't have navigation in the game. There's no waypoints. Stop it.
Yeah. We know. There's no compass in game either.
We have a compass now.
So Namidius, with all your powerful knowledge on here, what do you think about the IC system?
It's the beast we have to work with, so we work with it. Sadly, it's better than the one we had before, because there's actually a little more, and I was going to get into that. There's a little more feedback now on what happens when they close a ticket, as to why. But I just want to finish up a couple things. Why do this? It does matter. As Shapcat pointed out before, submitting these bugs, it does matter. They are paying attention, and it helps to make the game a better game and to get where we're trying to go, which is a finished game. And of course, there's an odd chance you might get into Evocati at some point. The more activity you have in game, more useful tickets that you have that actually result in actual feedback and resolutions go a long way towards them thinking, oh, hey, maybe this guy needs to be in Evocati.
In that case, I'm never making it.
Now my rant.
It doesn't work is not exactly. I don't know.
Okay. Jacqueline, if you can pull up that first one about ships decelerate, that first image.
Is that the right one?
Okay. Yeah, I think. That's
space drag.
Yes. Okay.
Space drag.
Sounds like a rock band.
Yeah,
man, we're gonna go down to Jumptown and watch Space Drag tonight.
You should be good to go now.
It's too many places to go with that chat. We're not doing that tonight.
The light bulb just came on.
Boom.
Okay.
It's up now. There.
Okay. I was looking at the wrong screen. All right. So basically what we have here is one that was archived, and that basically archived means closed. It can be, and that's different from one that says fixed. In this case here, they marked it as working as intended, meaning that when the ships decelerate when the engines are off versus just going forever. It's a little confusing sometimes when they do these, because are they archiving it as working as intended because that's the current state of the game, or is that the way they want it to run? That's not always clear. And because this somewhat conflicts with statements they've made in years past where they said they wanted inertia in the game. And so they've gone back and forth on this topic here, and sometimes it's not always clear on that. And then if you can show the second one about Space Drag, it's kind of the same thing. This is kind of near and dear to me. It's an issue I've been pushing on, is trying to get a feel from them on where they are on actual decoupled EVA in game. Are we actually going to be able to boost in a direction, turn off the thrusters, and keep moving, at least for some period of time, rather than stopping dead in space, because magic space dust catch you and stops you there.
Star Citizen Dark Matter.
Yeah. And this one was archived for the same reason. And I did notice that there's some slightly different wording there. They said, something to the effect that sadly it was, or unfortunately to something to that effect, that it was working as intended, and tend to submit feedback. And this is where feedback comes in important. Got a couple of, did I post? I did not. We can get that in there in a bit. There are a couple of RSI spectrum threads, where there are feedback threads on this topic. Decoupled EVA, if the roadmap holds true, should be coming in 3.16 or whatever we're going to get. That's going to be EVA where your jets are not always on. What that's going to be right now is kind of up in the air. Are you going to stop dead and they're going to, as a gameplay argument to force you to use the grav tool to pull yourself around, or the eventual mechanic where you're able to grab onto hulls and pull yourself along, or are you going to have some semblance of inertia, which is most of us would want that, I think. It just feels right. It's harder to program, yes, but even if there is a steady drag, at least drag it out for. Remember, back in like 2 point something, we had that. You could jump out of a ship. You didn't stop immediately. You started to drag to a stop, and the lore reason was your jets were slowing you down.
Yeah, when you didn't hit the beam when you came out of the ship. But
well, hey, you know what? Get good. Play better. So, just you got to be aware of that. But it's just, and this is once again as vague as to where are they actually going? Do they want EVA to be the way it is right now in game, where you stop, or are you going to continue? It's not clear, and that's my main problem with the current system. Is
I would think they would have to have. They would have to have something. I know that we weren't really supposed to be talking too much about, inertia and things like that, but I think they would have to have something if they're going to have tractor beams and things like that in the game. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Why would I have a tractor beam if it's
you're talking logic, okay?
Well, they're thinking tractor beams is in like grab some wreckage and shove it in your cargo bay.
But you also can use the grab. You can use the tool now to pull yourself.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about towing ships and things like that too.
Well, they have the tug ship that
SRV.
Here's the thing: the issue is, from a programming perspective, you have to have physics grids, and it's when you transition from physics grid A to physics grid B, continuing to track things like momentum is really, really, really hard. Mm-hmm. And they broke that when they went to the lumber yard. They didn't have the code to do that anymore.
Right.
And they've never been able to add it back in because it only allowed you to have like 8 or 12 people on the server to be able to track all of that. I don't know if it's ever coming back. And so I think I think the whole, I'm going to turn my ship, I'm going to go into, what's that free look
decoupled
mode?
Well, you can do it in decoupled. Yeah, you can.
That's what I meant. Decouple mode, and flip the engines off and power down and just scoot along at 1,000 meters per second. I don't think that they're going to let us do that, because I think the coding to allow that to happen.
They used to let us do that.
They used to do that.
I haven't tried it. Does it not work anymore?
What's that?
All pre-lumberyard.
Decoupled drifting.
Yeah.
With the engines off.
I've done it.
No, I don't think
the engines off.
I don't think that's correct, Jay. Unfortunately, I don't think that's correct. I think
it's still according to
it's
chat,
always been on lumberyard, and you've been able to do that. I think the issue is that there have been a couple of patches where if you went decoupled, you suddenly began to stop, and that seemed like a bug versus a feature.
The purpose.
Yeah. Right. I'm just saying the whole getting out of a ship while it's moving and moving along with it is really hard for most.
Now you might be thinking of it when they start to revamp their physics grids, because they had to for the new MISC ships and a couple of the other things. They had to start looking at redoing those physics grids, and that may be where you're thinking that now there's some things that come in that dynamically they're not able to transfer information back and forth. But that's going to be a real problem just in and of itself if they can't do that.
Is this why we're getting that issue where sometimes you go up the ramp of your ship, you get into your ship, and then suddenly you're just thrown backwards out of the ship? Is that a physics grid issue?
That sounds like a force reaction issue. I've noticed that I eat shit 9 out of 10 times walking up the ramp on my Cutlass. I'm walking and I'll do like a full-on somersault when I hit the top of the ramp because I don't know if I'm
Are your
tripping or
engines
what
on?
the deal is, but I'll just and fall over or drop a box. If I'm carrying a box up some stairs, I'll drop the box and have to go pick the box back up and try again.
Well, used to gravity would take over halfway up the ramp, so that's why EVA you face planted every single time.
Oh, I'm talking about like landed ship on the ground. Just running up the ramp.
I got you.
There is a bug right now. I guess it's a bug. It's where I think it's part of force reactions, where if your engines are on and you're around the ramp area where the exhausts are, you got a chance of getting thrown on your butt on the ramp. And turning your engines off seems to make it happen less often. I'm not 100% positive on that, but that seems to be the case.
That sounds like the old your vehicle won't bounce on the elevator if you shut it off.
Anyway, keep those bug reports coming. You've got to have them.
Yeah,
please
we're going on the
keep the bug
now.
reports coming.
Yeah.
And if they're
when you
mine,
find
upload
a
them.
Important bug report like we're missing a lantern pod on our fighters. Make sure that everybody in the
No, anything from Josh, don't ignore that. Just ignore that.
Yeah, the big ones I see are like bug versus feature, right? And like label your reports appropriately, you know?
And these days, Jay, it's the alt FLIR, not the lantern, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm showing my age here.
Wow.
Targeting pod. If
Well, I
can
also
get
switched
Who's
from the
picking up
F6
cigarette
to the
butts
F8
after the show?
So if anybody feels as much as I do about the whole, and I understand Jay's argument about the software challenge, but it'd be nice if we have at least some degree of drift, at least for a short term. I'm not expecting to fire off a round from Hurston and it show up at Crusader someday. But
but it would
wow,
be nice
wouldn't that be something?
You saw that, you know that one bit from Mass Effect where the gunny was telling them about where the round was going to end up, right?
Yeah,
Wow,
that'd be a great story.
Oh my god, could you imagine if they tried to track every projectile? Like you're just zipping around, mind your own business, and catch a stray round or
he
tank.
wants to track every coffee cup he gets put down everywhere. Why not every bullet round?
Yeah,
Bullet rounds versus coffee cups. We should have a forum post.
We could do a whole segment on that.
Hey, I got it. I'll stand at Everest Harbor and throw a coffee cup, and Josh, you stand at Port Olisar. We'll see if you can catch it.
And out.
You wait.
We'll film it for charity.
Yeah,
He'll be gone. He'll be gone for
for
lunch.
science, brother. For science.
All right. Whoever's running this, get back on.
Okay, sorry.
Me.
Okay. Last thing I got is I got a couple of stats on the issue council just to put in perspective what's been going on there. The new issue council kicked off. Let's see, back in April or so, I think. And when I pulled the stats on it last week, there were over 12,000 tickets opened on it. 75% of those are archived. The majority of those being duplicates, not enough votes, or the devs actually marked it saying that they could not reproduce the issue. A small number are, like the ones I showed, are not a bug or working as intended. Like over 2,000 are 16% are confirmed, meaning they have 10 or more votes. That just means 10 or more backers have voted on it. That doesn't mean CIG has done anything with them. There could be a lot of duplicates in there too. 6% or like 771 are open, but they had less than 10 votes, and after 10 days they drop off. So that's kind of like the constant running open tickets that are probably going to most of those are probably going to drop off due to a lack of votes. And only 3% or 395 are marked as fixed, and like 26 total tickets at that point were under investigation. So that gives you an idea of what's been going on since April. So about 5 months or so of activity. So
those unconfirmed ones, it's my understanding that at least some portion of those are due to like server-side tick rate and AI not getting updates or issues that causes. I think I saw one of their broadcasts where they talked about they'd be chasing things, they couldn't find them or reproduce them because the server issues caused some special issue in that instance that didn't repeat later.
Yeah,
I believe it.
So, any comments, questions? But I was
real
just-
quick. I to be honest, I don't like the new reporting system. I like the older one better. But hey, so be it. I've adjusted to it. I'm reporting as I should. I just like the old system better.
I agree.
Is the search function? I haven't used the new system yet. Is the search function any better, or is it equally as
No,
useless?
it's just as useless as it was before.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I would say that one good thing about the new system is that if you put it in correctly, it will give you back an update on when something has happened to the issue that you put in, which was
there
something
is
that
Oh.
that was something that was not in the old system.
Like bug fixed?
You put no. Well, it would tell you when CIG took the new one tells you when CIG
okay.
takes an action on it.
Gotcha.
So the old one, when you put something in, you never really knew unless you went back with this archaic, terrible search engine to try to find it again. Or most people, what they did, at least what I would try to do, is bookmarked it so that I could go back and take a look at it. But this time it will notify you via Spectrum. I think it goes into a Spectrum note that you can click on, and it will go to the issue council, and it will show you where you're, what's happened with it. So I think that was positive in that, they are trying to be a little bit more transparent. In what's happening with the ICs. I still think it's a lot goes in, hardly anything comes out kind of thing. But that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. So like 3% were marked as fixed. So there's way more that are confirmed, but not even being under investigation or fixed.
This means they have a lot of features now.
Well, I like the feedback though. I do like the CIG feedback. That's a nice touch.
Yeah, and it does give you a little counter. You can, when you open up, it'll have a little number next to your little icon at the top right to tell you if there's changes, like additional votes on something you contributed to or created,
right,
or some change of status.
It gives us closure,
Yeah.
That's all we ever want. We need some closure.
Sure it is. I think we've beaten that horse to death. Anybody want to add any more to the crappy issue console software they have, and the fact that they ignore us 75% of the time? Okay, I think we're going to take a break. This is the first time we've ever done this. I'm looking over at my producer and making sure she's ready to go, and we'll return with a special guest.